Hi, kids. Welcome to the Late Night Picture Show. I'm your host, Murph the Clown. And tonight, it's a little bit hot. Do you remember a couple weeks ago when I was out at Tequila? I was drinking Harvey Wallbangers like it's the 1970s. Well, it gave me an idea. So I drink that Dorado Old Fashioned, which is basically tequila and Galliano. More of a cocktail. The Harvey Wallbanger, which is vodka and orange juice and Galliano, got me the idea. What if I took a Dorado Old Fashioned and added orange juice to it? Well, it's not as pretty. Not that it matters, because this is black and white. But that's tasty. I think the only thing it needs is maybe next time a little more Galliano. A whole shot instead of half a shot. Anyway, this is our Ed Wood double feature. Probably not our last Ed Wood double feature. We've already covered one Ed Wood film, I think. The Violent Years. But tonight, it's a very special Ed Wood double feature. We have Plan 9 from Outer Space. And even if you haven't seen this one, I'll bet you've heard of it. Unspeakable horrors from outer space paralyze the living and resurrect the dead. Plan 9 from Outer Space with Bela Lugosi, Vampira Lyle Talbot. And I would add also, I think, John Agar and Tor Johnson. Definitely Tor Johnson. Criswell. Criswell's in this. And I don't remember the space leader. But, yeah, he wears that fancy little outfit like that. Kind of a skirt. Beautiful. Plan 9 from Outer Space is a 1956 Wade Williams production, directed by Edward D. Wood Jr., starring Bela Lugosi, Vampira, yeah. I wrote here, the usual cast of Ed Wood cronies, and that's very accurate. You'll see that later. Flying saucers over Hollywood, flying saucers over Washington, D.C., drones Criswell, as we see plastic model flying saucers wobbling on fishing line from coast to coast. Soon one lands in a California cemetery, and strange things begin to happen nearby, starting with a bunch of wind. Couple sitting out there on their patio, and yeah, the wind's like about to blow over their table. We have an old man, Lugosi, and yeah, we'll kind of get into that, who laments the loss of his wife, Vampira, while she, although dead, roams the cemetery at night, killing gravediggers. Eventually, the old man meets his demise, and he follows her to the grave. Apparently too grief-stricken to notice that there are cars on this busy street that he lives on that might hit him if he just steps out in the street without looking. Just as quickly, he is roaming the boneyard too. Where's my cape? By now, the cops are on the case. Flying saucers over Hollywood. The cops And this would be the usual bunch of idiot Hollywood cops, led by Swedish wrestling star Tor Johnson. And unfortunately, he speaks in this movie. Lord only knows what he says, but it doesn't really matter. He gets killed and resurrected like the others. So, yeah, he becomes a zombie. And I know that you have all seen the image of Vampira, who also didn't speak in the movie because she only accepted to do it if she didn't have to speak. And Tor in the graveyard, zombified. You've seen it. As the cops battle the graveyard ghouls, and by battle I mean more like stumble over graves and almost shoot each other in the foot, we learn that the ghouls are under the control of the spaceman and woman in the saucer. Yeah. Far more technologically advanced than us mere earthlings, but at the same time completely inept. They bungle every attempt to capture the minds of living earthlings. They prance around in their Shakespeare outfits and spill their whole plan to the cops. Yeah, the cops arrive in the spaceship, and then the dude there just tells them exactly what their plan is. That's a good idea, right? Okay. I'm not going to tell you what happens, because you do need to see this one. You do. Widely heralded as the worst movie of all time by the worst director of all time. However, 40 years later, it's more than 40 years now. Okay, hang on. Yeah. It's more like 70 years later. Not quite 70 years, 60-something years later. 60-something years later, this is hardly the case. With mindless drivel like Dirty Dancing and overextended music video garbage like Alien Blood, which we covered just a couple of weeks ago. Go back and take a look at that. We have seen far worse than Ed Wood Jr. Looking back, Wood's films are not much worse than many of his contemporaries, and they exude a charm. They exude a charm that endures, unlike many of his contemporaries. Plan 9 is Wood's masterpiece, and we'll talk about this later tonight. And though terribly flawed, it is a very, very entertaining picture. I give Plan 9 from Outer Space 5 rings. It's a 5-ring circus here on Feature 1 of the Late Night Picture Show. You can fight me in the comments. Go ahead. I can take it. Well, let's all go to the lobby. And we're either going to freshen this up, which, you know, I got to maintain my girlish figure, so maybe I should just freshen that up instead of guzzling that down and making a whole new one. Let's all go to the lobby and make ourselves a drink. Be right back.